Worst scientists ever.
We're looking at the first proof of life beyond Earth. Lowering oxygen, more carbon dioxide.
Life is directed by Daniel Espinosa and stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Rebecca Ferguson, and Ariane Bakare. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And it tells the story of a group of scientists on board the International Space Station, and they receive a pod of soil samples from Mars, and inside those soil samples is proof of life beyond Earth. Unfortunately, that life is an alien creature that wants to eat everything. Life is a film that I was really intrigued with because the trailers didn't really give anything away, and I love that. I love films that, are very secretive in what they're about. And, we knew it's about, an alien life form that wants to kill people, but what I was really hoping it would be is something along the lines of Alien, and for the most part I got that. It's a slasher in space. That's fucking cool. Life is an interesting film. I really enjoyed a lot about this movie. It's a really great thrill ride the whole way through. I was hoping for a little more depth with it, I think, but it didn't. Overall, it's still a very decent film. It's really enjoyable, and I'd say it's worth checking out. All that being said, I'm going to dive into what I really liked and didn't like about it. Right off the bat, this movie is really well shot. I love the cinematography of this film. The way it's shot really puts you in the same environment as the characters. It's very almost zero gravity camera work, and is a good way to put it, in that the camera is floating through all these corridors in a very weightless fashion. It's going upside down at times. It's going in all these topsy-turvy ways that makes you feel like you're floating through space with the characters, and that's really fucking cool. Also, a lot of these characters are really well fleshed out. I really thought that was refreshing because I had a good reason to care about several of these characters. Not all of them, unfortunately, but I'll get to that. I really loved Ariane Bakare's character. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but the idea of a paraplegic astronaut was really, really cool, and that was something that I like how it came into. I like how they worked that into the plot in a couple places. That was really, really awesome. That led to some really, really cool moments throughout. Let's talk about Calvin, the alien creature that they find on Mars. I loved this thing. First off, when it's tiny and starfish-like, it's adorable. It's a little paper starfish looking thing, and it eats fucking everything, and it's kind of like the Blob meets a xenomorph, and that's fucking rad. And then it evolves and gets bigger, and it's still rad. It's like a fucking octopus, and it's like and what I really loved about it is that it's like an octopus in almost every way, and especially in the way it thinks. In that octopi are very smart, and Calvin is very smart. You have these scientists going up against an alien creature, but this thing isn't just an animal, it's thinking, and it's thinking ahead of them at times, and that's really, really awesome, because it gives them a very strong antagonist that is not only physically strong, but mentally knows what they're going to do, and is anticipating their moves, and anticipating how they're trying to get rid of it, and is acting against them in that respect, and that's amazing. I love that. And at times, this thing gets really scary, because it's moving with just a sole intent to kill, and it's fast, and it's smart, and it's incredibly fucking strong. The first scene where you see how strong it is really, it's a incredibly intense scene, and that's one thing I could really say about this film, is it is super intense. Oh my god, I was shocked at how really thrilling this movie was at times. A little too much though in certain respects, and I'm gonna get into that now. And mostly what I disliked about this film was there are times when it starts devolving into almost generic action film territory, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that there were 5 minutes into toward the beginning of the third act that I totally checked out for, because there was nothing on screen that was happening that I was invested in. It was super just action movie, everything's exploding and things are falling and crashing into stuff. It was just really not necessary, and I didn't appreciate that part of it. The rest of the film was really good. Also, one thing I really wanted to stress is that the ending is incredibly ballsy, and I love a good dark ending. I do wish, though, that it wasn't so predictable. And maybe it's because I've seen a million films that would end in a certain fashion, or maybe it's because I'm a filmmaker and I can tell when things are edited a certain way in order to throw off the audience, but I predicted the way this film was going to end 5 minutes before it happened. So while I did appreciate the overall ending, I did not love that it was so easily telegraphed. One thing I really didn't appreciate is these characters are all scientists, and yet they're making incredibly stupid decisions, or some of them are. Ryan Reynolds. And it's really disappointing when you're seeing characters like Ariane Bakari's character, characters like Rebecca Ferguson's character, making all these really intense decisions, that they're planning ahead and they're making really all these incredibly smart judgment calls, and you have somebody like Ryan Reynolds' character who makes a really dumb call early on in the movie and ends up fucking everything up and causing the entire disaster that it results throughout the film. It's just really disappointing because it's general horror movie stupidity, and it doesn't make any sense because these characters are scientists and it doesn't feel natural coming from them. Jake Gyllenhaal's character is incredibly underdeveloped. He is so barely there. He's a fucking cardboard cutout, and the rest of them are actually well-developed people. And that was super disappointing because, A, Jake Gyllenhaal's a fantastic actor. He's great in almost everything he does. He's been picking nothing but winning roles for the past several years. So seeing him in this and seeing him sort of just in the background saying, oh, well, I like being in space more than like being on Earth, and that's all there is to it, it gives me no reason to care. You have these moments when he's trying to emotionally connect with Rebecca Ferguson's character, and you're just sort of left, it's whatever. It's not really that big a deal, and you're just sort of left feeling hollow about him because he's no real reason to give a shit. And there's no real reason for the audience to care about him because there's nothing to him. But, all that being said, I did enjoy Life. I think it was a really solid thrill ride. And what a funny thing, because I'm actually going to say that Life was undoubtedly solid. It's fun, it's gripping, it's really fucking insane at times, but it has those flaws that I mentioned, mainly regarding Jake Gyllenhaal's character and the weird pacing toward the third act, and the fact that it becomes sort of generic action film when the rest of the film was so smart prior to it. In the end, I mean, it's definitely worth watching. I would definitely say to check it out. It's in theaters still, and it's a fun time. If you're looking for something that's not, you don't have to think super hard about, but you can enjoy a really solid thrill ride throughout, Life is a good time, and you should go check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching, as always, and if you like this, you can click down there and like and comment and subscribe. Thank you so much.